Hello everyone, welcome back to Twilight Tales. If you're alone, grab your blanket, turn off the lights, and let the silence wrap around you. And hey, if you love the chill that crawls down your spine, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Because you never know who else might be wide awake, listening. Now let me tell you a story about time, but not the kind that ticks forward. No, this one ticks backward. This one waits for you. This is the haunted hour of the old clock. In a quiet town called Elmridge, nestled between dead farmlands and crooked trees, there sat a house no one wanted. A house with peeled wallpaper, rotting floorboards, and one occupant. A massive blackened grandfather clock that had stood unmoving for nearly 80 years. No one remembered who lived there last. No one cared to remember. Except one man, Thomas Vale, a 42-year-old appraiser from the city who'd inherited the house from a great uncle he'd never met. Thomas wasn't the kind of man who believed in ghost stories. He drank black coffee, filed taxes early, and dismissed anything that couldn't be measured or itemized. So when the letter came announcing the inheritance, he packed a weekend bag, told his assistant he'd be back Monday, and drove 3 hours to the dying town of Elmridge. The house welcomed him like a tomb. Stale air, a smell of rotting fabric, and silence so thick it pushed against his ears. Dust coated everything except the grandfather clock, which stood in the hallway like it had been oiled just yesterday. It was majestic, even beautiful, with a black oak frame and brass trim that gleamed in the low light. But the oddest thing about it wasn't its untouched condition. No. It was that the clock ticked even though the hands were frozen at 3:33. Tick, tick, tick. Always ticking, never moving. Thomas checked it twice, then 3 times. The gears turned, the pendulum swung. But the hands, forever locked at 3:33. That night, Thomas settled into the least dusty bedroom. He made a note to sell the clock. It could fetch a few thousand from the right buyer. But as he drifted to sleep, a soft chime echoed through the house. 3 slow, deep chimes. Then silence. He checked his phone. 1:12 a.m. He frowned and rolled over. The next morning, Thomas explored the house with his phone's flashlight. Rooms, sagged with decay, old books, moth-eaten chairs, faded portraits with eyes that seemed to follow. In one drawer, he found a yellowed envelope with a brittle letter inside. To whomever receives this, know that time has a price. If you hear the clock chime, do not answer the whispers, do not look behind you. And above all, never be in the house at 3:33. He scoffed. Theater. Someone in the family probably had a flair for drama. That evening, he made dinner using a rusted skillet and half-expired canned beans. Then, he poured a drink, sat by the fireplace and read one of the dusty books he found in the parlor. The ticking of the grandfather clock echoed from the hall, steady, hypnotic. When he finally turned in, the house was silent again. That is, until the chimes returned. Dong, dong, dong. He sat up, checked his phone. 2:48 a.m. Then came the whispers. At first, so soft they blended with the wind. But then, Thomas. He froze. The voice wasn't inside his head. It wasn't outside the house. It was in the hallway near the clock. He stared at the door. Another whisper. You left me. You left us. The doorknob rattled. Thomas grabbed the lamp from the bedside and flung open the door. Empty hallway. Only the clock swaying gently. Tick, tick, tick. He marched down, flung open the glass case of the clock, and reached inside to stop the pendulum. It stopped. The ticking ceased, but as he turned to leave, he heard it again. Tick, tick, tick. The pendulum was moving again. His skin crawled. He slammed the case shut and stumbled back to bed, telling himself it was just fatigue, the brain playing tricks. The next morning, he called an antique dealer to schedule a pickup for the clock. The voice on the other end hesitated when he mentioned the address. Sorry, sir. We don't deal with pieces from that area. Click. Thomas frowned. He called 3 more dealers, same result. One man even hung up when he mentioned the clock's hand stuck at 3:33. That night the clock chimed at 1 crowns, then 2 sounds, then again at 3 sound. Each time, louder, and at 3:33, it screamed, a deafening metallic scream that rattled the walls. Thomas bolted upright, heart pounding. The room was pitch black. He reached for his phone. Dead. The screaming stopped. Silence. Then, footsteps, slow, deliberate, from the hallway. He didn't move, didn't breathe. The footsteps stopped outside his door. A soft knock. He whispered to himself, "This isn't happening." A second knock. Louder. The doorknob twisted. He shoved a chair under the handle and backed away. Silence returned. Until... Time belongs to us now. The voice wasn't outside the door. It was behind him. He turned slowly. The mirror in the corner of the room showed not his reflection, but the hallway. And in the hallway, 3 figures, pale, hollow-eyed, grinning, watching. He smashed the mirror with the lamp. The house groaned like a living thing. The floorboards beneath him cracked and shifted. He grabbed his bag, bolted downstairs, and sprinted to his car. The clock chimed behind him, dong, dong, dong. As he peeled out of the driveway, tires screaming, the house seemed to grow smaller in the rear view. 3 days passed. Thomas didn't speak of the house, didn't answer calls, but at night he couldn't sleep because the ticking followed him. Tick, tick, tick. He smashed his wall clock. Tick, tick. He removed the batteries from every device. Tick, tick. No matter what he did, the sound returned. He visited a psychologist. They gave him pills, sleeping aids. Nothing worked. One night, as he tried to drown the sound with loud music, every device in his apartment, phone, microwave, TV, displayed the same time. 3:33, and then the chimes returned. Not distant, not imagined. Inside, he turned to the hallway of his apartment, and there it was, the black grandfather clock, standing in the dark, ticking. He screamed, ran to the door, but it was locked, sealed. From behind the clock, shadows emerged. Figures. From the house, they stepped into the light. Gray flesh, sunken faces, and eyes that ticked like second hands. You stopped time, Thomas. Now time stops you. They lunged. When police arrived the next morning, neighbors reported strange sounds, screams, and all the apartment's clocks stuck at 3:33. Thomas was gone. No blood, no struggle, just a trail of gears and clock hands leading to the wall, where a grandfather clock stood for a brief second before disappearing. Now, if you think you're safe, check the time. Is it ticking? Did the hands move? And if you ever hear a chime when no clock is near, run. Time remembers, and it always collects what it's owed. Thank you for joining me on this ride through the dark. If your heart's still racing and your mind still spinning, that means we did it right. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Twilight Tales, where night never truly sleeps. Because some clocks are always ticking. Good night, and try not to look at the time.